Surprisingly, 13% of you guys wanted to see me lifting weights while reacting to my own videos. Cool. Let's do that one soon. Hey, what's up? Recently, I asked you guys over on the community tab what types of videos you guys wanted to see more of on this channel. A lot of you guys said you wanted to see tested recipes that are more actionable, meaning stuff that you would actually make, which I was stoked about because, believe it or not, I don't usually eat pizza or cookies or Italian beef during my work week. So today, I'm gonna show you guys how to make a 25-minute Caesar salad that is super easy and one of my favorite recipes that I've ever made.
To get started, I'm gonna grab 8 raw chicken tenders. I'm trying to make this dish as streamlined as possible, and chicken tenderloin meat cooks really quickly and is, well, very tender, great for salads. As you can see, I'm gonna hit both sides of these tenders with a good dose of salt and black pepper. And don't mind that tendon thing sticking out on the side. Those usually aren't that noticeable after they've been cooked. And if they end up being excessively large, they're always easier to remove after these have been cooked. Once these are all salted and peppered up, I'm gonna set the tenders off to the side to marinate for a second while we make the Caesar dressing real quick. For that, into a high-sided container goes 1 large egg, 45 grams of grated Parmesan cheese, 1 whole can or roughly 30 grams of oil-packed anchovies that have been rinsed really well to remove excessive salt, then 1 garlic, 50 grams of lemon juice, and 10 grams of water. My immersion blender goes in, and I'm gonna spin up this egg-chovy mixture until everything is well broken down. Then I'm gonna slowly drizzle in 275 grams of a neutral oil. Adding the oil in slowly like this helps the emulsion become a lot more stable. But if you're wondering, hey Bri, some very credible internet people say that you can add in all the oil at once for emulsified dressings and mayonnaises, and that adding it in slowly is actually fake news. Well, maybe that works for whoever that is and that specific recipe, but I will say emphatically that I've seen a lot of mayonnaises and dressings get broken by inexperienced line cooks who add the oil too quickly. The mayos and dressings I show you on this channel have a pretty high fat ratio and need to be done slowly to ensure your success. After that's all spun up and the oil is well incorporated, this dressing should look nice and saucy, but maybe just a tad thin. That's ideal. The Parmesan in this dressing is going to make it thicken up slightly as it sits in the fridge. Also, I'm a huge fan of anchovies, and there's a bunch of them in this dressing, but if you don't like anchovies, I would recommend subbing in Worcestershire, and I'll note in the description how to do that more specifically. I'm gonna put the dressing into the fridge to patiently wait for salad time, and now let's cut the lettuce. For this Caesar, I'm using Little Gem lettuce. This is in the romaine family, but it's significantly less watery and holds up to heavier dressings. A lot better than romaine, in my opinion. If you can't get Little Gem lettuce, a butter leaf lettuce would work here as a good alternative. Romaine is also fine, but just know that Little Gem is the queen of the cause variety lettuces, and when I cut into it, you can see why. The inside is super beautiful. It's got that light yellow, green, sweet, crunchy look to it, and it just looks amazing. Once that's chopped up, I'm gonna load it into the salad spinner and then cut up another few heads. I'm using roughly 2 medium-sized heads per person. That's gonna make a generous size salad for 2 hungry adults. If the lettuce you've got is looking not great, I would recommend soaking it in the cold water that you're using to wash the greens for like 5 to 6 minutes. That's gonna firm it back up and help it take on some new life. Now, we're gonna drain off this washing water, and now we're gonna give it a hard shake to get that excessive water off the leaves, and we're gonna give it a spin. I recommend at least 30 seconds of spinning at full speed. Really put your weight into it because most people's salad greens are underspun. Too much residual water on the leaves is gonna mean diluted dressings, and that's not super pro. There should basically be no visible water on the leaves of your lettuce. Okay, that's dry. Now into the fridge it goes with the dressing, and we're into this for like 15 minutes of work so far. That's not bad. Let's keep rolling. Let's cook the chicken. For that, I'm gonna preheat a 10-inch nonstick pan over medium heat, and once that's preheated, we're gonna add in a good squiz of olive oil, probably 20 grams or so, and then we're gonna lay in the salted tenders. You might notice that I'm actually kind of crowding the pan here, and that's on purpose. I'm trying to get a solid sear on one side while I steam these on the other side. When they're close together like this, it actually makes the tenders cook a little bit faster, and it keeps them from drying out. It's kind of a weird cooking method, but it really works. Once these tenders are properly snugged up and sizzling gently over medium heat, we're gonna cover them with a lid to continue cooking and check back in 5 minutes. In the meantime, I wanna thank the sponsor of this video, Vessi Shoes. My usual shoe for getting stuff done around town has traditionally been a kitchen clog like this. In theory, they're waterproof and non-slip, but they make my feet sweat a lot, and despite being made of very thick rubber, they get holes in the bottom, and when it rains, my feet get quite wet. So luckily, Vessi sent me a pair of their 100% waterproof waterproof weekend shoes, and I've been trying them out as my daily wear while I'm running around town doing errands or using them as a comfortable shoe to wear while shooting videos. And yes, they are really 100% waterproof. This is in like 6 inches of water, and when I take my shoe out, you can see the sock is still totally dry. That is insane. How do they do it? Well, this shoe has something in it called Dymatex technology, which essentially keeps your feet cool in the summer and warm in the winter and somehow dry all the time. This is truly a shoe that you could wear anywhere for any reason throughout the entire year. It's machine washable, it's super lightweight, and right now when you use my link in the description and use the code Brian at checkout, you can get $25 off of your first order. That's a great deal. I hope you guys give it a try. Thank you, Vessi, for sponsoring this video. Now, I want to talk about the crunchy part of this 25-minute Caesar salad. I've got some panko breadcrumbs here. These happen to be gluten-free, but they behave identically to regular glutened ones. Don't sweat that. Croutons are usually what you would have in a Caesar salad, and those are great, but fried breadcrumbs bring a big crunch to every bite, and they're way easier to make than croutons. Over at my pan, it's been 5 minutes, and these have been lightly steamed on the back, and when I flip them over, you can see a really nice, sensible sear on the pan side. And that looks perfect. We're gonna flip over the whole crew of tenders here and then cover with the lid again. This time I'm gonna turn the heat down under this to low and then cook very gently on the back side for another 2 to 3 minutes, or about 8 minutes in the pan total. After that 2 minutes, I'm gonna come back and de-lid this pan and check the tenders for their temperature. As soon as they pass that 145F, or about 62C, we're gonna call them cooked. As you might have noticed, these are going a little bit higher than that, and that's totally fine because we cooked them super gently, and that means they're gonna stay juicy. Now, I'm gonna move these over to a sheet tray to let them cool off, and if you see any large protruding tendons at this point and want to rip them out, now would be the time to do that. Back over at the saute pan, I've got this on medium-high heat. Now I'm gonna grab a few paper towels and wipe out all that chicken stuff. Behind that comes a very generous amount of olive oil. Let's say 50 grams or roughly a quarter cup, and as soon as that's shimmering just a little bit, in goes about a cup and a half or maybe 150 grams of breadcrumbs. Once those are in the oil, we're going to come back and give everything a solid toss to make sure that the oil is evenly distributed throughout, and then we're going to hit with a strong pinch of salt to season things up. This might seem like a lot of oil just to fry some breadcrumbs, but it really does make a huge difference when all of the breadcrumbs have a little bit of oil to sizzle them up. If you're watching your calories, you surely could dry toast these in the pan or just use less olive oil, and you'll have something that's pretty good but not as amazing as fully fried breadcrumbs. You'll notice also that these cook really fast. It takes about 60 seconds total from start to finish, and they go from blonde to too dark very quickly, so you really have to keep an eye on them. Once they're at this light graham crackery state like this, we're going to pull them off and land them over on a paper towel to drain them off a little bit. This is a ton of fried breadcrumbs, by the way, but I use these pretty frequently at my house. I put them on all of my lunch salads and on top of pastas. They're just super versatile to have around. Okay, the prep is done. Now it's time to make a salad. The amount of dressing and lettuce and chicken that we have easily makes 2 very large salads. Like, I didn't eat lunch size, but I'm just going to show you guys how to make one for now. Okay, once I've got 3 large handfuls of little gem in this bowl, I'm going to add in a little secret ingredient that's not trad for a Caesar. These are chopped capers, and they bring a really fun, savory, briny pop to the salad, but if you're salt sensitive, leave them out. I really like them. Behind those capers comes 2 large handfuls of grated Parmesan cheese. I'm pretty adamant that it should be grated because I'm not the biggest fan of feather shredded Parmesan in a salad like this, but if that's all you've got or that's what you like, you do you. Behind that goes 2 very generous handfuls of breadcrumbs. Go big on these. More crunch is always a good thing in a salad like this, and yeah, maybe even throw a 3rd pinch in there to make sure. The next thing in is the chicken tenders. I gave these a rough chop before adding them into the salad, and as you can see, they stayed pretty juicy. The chicken's gonna go into the salad, not on top, because we want a bunch of dressing and cheese and breadcrumbs all stuck to it. Now, I'm gonna grab my dressing, and as you can see, it thickened to the perfect consistency while it sat in the fridge for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna start with 3 large dollops of this dressing, and we'll see where it goes. It's probably gonna need a little bit more. We'll give everything a nice toss with some tongs, and then maybe 1 more dollop of Caesar. This looks a little bit dry. Toss, and now the only way to know if it's right is to give it a taste. This salad is salty and creamy and just full of umami from both the anchovy and all that Parmesan cheese. Between the crunchy lettuce and the fried breadcrumbs, there is plenty of interesting texture here. And of course, this chicken is well seasoned, it's juicy, and it's perfectly cooked. Honestly, this is a really dignified meal for only 25 minutes of work. And let me know down in the comments if you guys like this video and if you'd like to see more videos like it in the future. Let's eat this thing.